We are going to write down and make sure you have all the right answers for all the parts of this. Yesterday we went over question 1. Make sure that you have all the information here. Remember, this is a sketch. These are rough sketches that you'll see that I did. As long as you have the basic idea in the sketch, I'm okay with it.
Do you want us to put arrows on the lines?
I always do. And so remember, we said each of the factors equal to 0 in order to find out which one of the zeros it was talking about. And we found the degree by adding the exponents, the 4 and the 1, from the factored form. And remember, if there wasn't one there, we always put a 1. So let's go ahead and look at number 2. So again, we said I'm equal to 0. I'm going to stop showing that step here in a minute because it's the same repetitive step. I'll show you what the numbers are from each part. Actually, I think I did show the work all the way through. And so at x equals -1, did we have a bounce, wiggle, or cross, or was it not nothing happening? Nothing happened. Because it...
Where does it work? Oh, okay, I see. All right, you're looking at this.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the next columns.
Okay.
And at 0, we had a bounce, wiggle, or cross. And what was our exponent?
1.
At 1, bounce, wiggle, or cross.
Wiggle.
And what was the exponent? 5. So the left-hand behavior, y approached positive or negative infinity?
Negative infinity.
Right end?
Positive infinity.
And what was the sign of the leading coefficient?
Negative.
And the degree?
6. Oh, wait, can you go back a little?
So the right end was negative infinity. I just missed the negative when I was writing it. So for the next one, we had 3 parts this time. That means it's crossing at 3 different spots or touching at three different spots. And at 3x equals 0, we got 0. X minus 1, we got 1. X plus 1, we got -1. So at the -1, what was it, a bounce, wiggle, or cross? Bounce, because it touched and came back. And it was an exponent of 0. Exponent of
1.
And at 1, with an exponent of 3. So the left end behavior, y approached
Positive.
left end, or right end behavior is
Positive.
sign,
Positive.
degree.
6.
Oh, and I forgot to erase these. We had at -1 was a wiggle with a 7 exponent. At 0, we had a cross with a 1 exponent. And at +1, you had a bounce with a 6. Left end was negative infinity. Right end was going to, y went to negative infinity as well. The sign was negative and the degree was 14. So question 5. We're going to set that -5x squared equals to 0 and get a 0. X plus 1 equals 0 gives you a -1. X minus 1 gives you a +1 when you set it equals 0. So at -1, what was your exponent?
3.
Is that a bounce, wiggle, or cross?
Wiggle.
At 0, Was it a bounce, wiggle, or cross?
Bounce. At exponent 2.
And at 1?
Bounce.
Exponent?
4.
Left end, y approaches.
Positive.
Right end?
Negative.
The sign?
Negative.
And the degree? Because we got the degree by adding 2 plus 3 plus 4. On number 6, we set 4x squared equal to 0 got 0. X minus 1 to 0 gets positive 1. X plus 1 equals 0 equals negative 1. And at negative 1, is it a bounce, wiggle, or cross?
Cross.
And exponent?
There is. Oh, yeah, you can say 1.
It's always a 1 if there's not an exponent written. At 0, bounce, wiggle, or cross?
Bounce.
And the exponent?
2.
At positive 1? Left end, y approaches.
Positive.
And left end,
Positive.
and the sign and the leading coefficient.
Positive.
And the degree.
7. 8.
Because don't forget to add in that 1 for the one that didn't have an exponent written. And the last one of these was 7. When we had 200x squared equals 0, gave us an x equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0 gives us x plus 1. X plus 1 equals 0 gives us a negative 1. The x equals negative 1. Bounce, wiggle, or cross? And the exponent? At 0, bounce, wiggle, or cross? At?
2.
And 1, x equals 1.
Wiggle. And 5.
And so the left end behavior, y approached.
Negative.
Right end,
Positive.
and the sign of the leading coefficient.
Positive.
The degree.
13.
Now, we're going to discuss the answers to the sum up sheet. So, whenever the graph bounced, whenever it said bounce, once you go back and look at all your bounces, what did we notice about the exponent on every single bounce? They were all even. So if it bounces, your exponent is even. If you circled wiggle, what was your exponent? 3 or higher. Odd. Why 3 or higher? What is a 1? So if you get a 1, it's a cross. 3 or higher,
That's our
or
number 9.
odd, not 1 is another way of putting it. For wiggle, odd, not 1. Number 10 is it has to equal a 1. Now comes to the movement fund. When the leading coefficient is an even degree, that means your degree down here in the corner was even, has nothing to do with the coefficient number. Even degree, and it was a positive coefficient. So just like the last two things we did, what did your end behavior look like? It was even positive. They both went to positive infinity. It's like a field goal. So if it was even and negative, they both went where? Negative infinity. So your arms kind of drop. The next two, we're going to walk like an Egyptian. They're either going to be... Okay? So they're going to be going opposite directions. Don't worry, y'all are going to be doing this with me here in a minute.
Yay.
So, if it is positive and odd, your right hand is up, so it's going to positive infinity with your right, and negative infinity with your left. If it is odd and negative, your left hand side is going to positive infinity, and your right hand side is going to negative infinity.